Hi, I'm author Lucy McConnell.
And I'm author Erica Penrod.
And I'm your host, Shaylee Dimmick. This is Angels Unscripted, where we talk all things angels. Did you know you have angels all around you? Join us as we talk books, friendship, romance, family, and more to discover the unscripted angels in your life. Hi, and welcome back to Angels Unscripted. I'm Shaylee Dimmick, and of course I'm here with authors Erica Penrod and Lucy McConnell. Today we're diving into Bailey, Book 3 of the Angel Institute series. This heartwarming story highlights the theme of harmony with others as Bailey learns to trust and grow through her relationships. Her angel guide Gladys plays a key role in helping her see that even in moments of doubt, we can find strength through connection and the bonds we create with those around us. We're also excited to revisit some angel stories about harmony and healing, and we also will get to share stories from last episode, Friendship, that we ran out of time to share a couple of the stories, so we will share those today. These real-life accounts remind us of the many ways angels walk among us, often appearing when we need them most, and how they guide us through deeper friendships and harmony. Keep listening as we explore the magic of angelic intervention and the power of harmony in our lives. Okay, so let's start with introducing Book 3,
Yay!
Bailey.
I'm so excited.
It releases
today.
This week.
Yeah.
Today.
It's out today, so
don't forget to check that out. And it is written by Lucy McConnell. So we'll start by having her introduce it to us.
all right. So this story, the theme of it is the whole goodwill towards men, which is the Christmas, song.
Right.
Goodwill towards men. And so that was a little bit hard to think of how to portray as somebody not having goodwill towards men. And I mean, we joke about the curmudgeon old man who yells at the kids to get off his lawn and things like that. But I wanted something that maybe hit a little closer to home with people and that they could relate to in Bailey. So Bailey has been hurt several times by people in her life, starting with her own parents and then moving on to a couple romantic relationships that were damaging. And so she's put up her guard.
Yeah.
And when we have our guard up like that and we have all of our walls up, you can't have harmony with somebody. Like, There's no way to connect to people. So she's really struggling with that. And so anyway, that's how I came up with the idea for Bailey, or how Bailey came about as a character. So now Gladys is her guardian angel.
Yeah.
And Gladys, I have to say, I actually named her after, there was this older woman that was a friend and neighbor to my grandma growing up, and her name was Gladys, and she was literally like just the sweetest lady. I would go over there during the Christmas season. My mom would be like, let's go visit Gladys and Marlon, and we'd go down the street from my grandparents' house, and they lived in this small farmhouse, and she had in her basement like a trove of gifts to give people. Yeah. And so she would always be like, oh, I have something for you at Christmas. And she would give me something. It was the sweetest thing. And it didn't ever, it was just the sweetest thing that she would even, I know most of them were for her grandkids and stuff that she'd gather throughout the year and be like, this would be good for this grandkid, whatever. But to be included in that and gifted something. And one time she gave me this really beautiful rose pin that was just so sweet. And so anyway, I loved Gladys. And though she was in my life as a child for a short time, she left a lasting impression, and I know she's an angel now and that she's helping to guide others. So I wanted to use her name in this story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Thanks.
That's awesome. And let's talk a little bit about the characters. We talked about Bailey and Gladys, but is there another person
there's
in this
Logan.
story?
Logan is... oh my gosh, Logan's amazing. So Logan is a firefighter. So he works one day off at the station, then one day off. So he's on, has that kind of varying schedule. So on the side, Logan does holiday decorating for people. Okay. So he will help people put up their Christmas lights. It's kind of I know a lot of firefighters have a side job that they do. So his side job during the holidays is to decorate. So he is entering the decorating contest at the historical Holly Inn. And Bailey, who is a designer, is also entering. So that's how the two of them become at odds with one another. So he's won it the last couple years, and so the stakes are high for them to butt heads. So there's a lot of reasons she should not like him,
right?
But she kind of can't help herself because Logan's amazing. So plus he's like a firefighter. I mean, he's all the good things. He's like the Clark Kent Superman kind of personality. Like he just handles stuff really well. And where Bailey is kind of he's really good for her.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. So yeah, I wanted to bring him up as well. And let's talk about Bailey. I know she's the main character. Mm-hmm. So how does her character evolve throughout the story?
So for Bailey to come into harmony with her fellow man, she needs to be able to, she has a little bit of anxiety. She has to overcome social anxiety kind of stuff because she sees each situation as though it's dangerous, like kind of a thing. She sees people as people who can hurt her. So one of the reasons or ways that she overcomes this is Gladys. Gladys is her guardian angel, is paramount in helping this transition for her. And she thinks she's doing good things for Gladys. She actually thinks Gladys is homeless.
Really?
She's like, I never see her go home. I don't know where she lives. I've never seen her eat. She doesn't like all of these things. She thinks she's just this really sweet homeless lady. So she invites her to spend a night. There's a storm coming into town. She invites her to spend a night at her apartment, thinking she's doing this big nice thing for Gladys, when in fact Gladys is like, all right, now I can really get to work on you now that I'm in your space. Like Gladys got through all the walls, right? And she's in this space, and she cares for her, and she listens to her, and she encourages her to open herself up to love and to people and to the goodness that's around her. And there's so much of that at Christmas time that I think it's a great time for healing all the time, because like we've talked about on previous podcasts, that spirit of Christmas, that everybody's a little nicer, everybody's a little more forgiving, everybody's a little more this, we're all just more of what we should be all the time. And so it brings out our sparkling sides. And so anyway, Gladys helps now that she's been invited in the Bailey's little circle. She can then help her open up to other people. And it's the fact that Gladys is bouncy and like fun and dedicated to what she's doing, but she's also like very non-threatening, and so which
I'm sure helps a lot.
It helps a lot, yeah. So
and then let's talk about how you as the author use the concept of living in harmony throughout the book. And I know you've mentioned a little bit about how Bailey kind of found herself and was able to be around people. Mm-hmm. But I mean, let's talk about that a little bit more, and how, Logan and Gladys and Bailey all add to the harmony in this book.
Well, and it's funny because she's in this competition for decorating, and so everybody in the competition is her competition basically, right? Like it should be considered her
There's
rival.
no harmony there.
You would think, yeah. It's a setup for everybody to be at each other's throats.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. However, it turns out, and a lot of this is Logan's doing, that they support each other, and they very much encourage each other to express themselves in their own way, in their designs, and admire that in each other. And so as these other contestants are encouraging her and getting excited about what she's doing, she's then able to, again, lower her guard more. And so in a place that should be or could be a cutthroat kind of a situation, she ends up being in a very safe environment. And so the Christmas scene and the people around her in Benton Falls really, really help her to heal in a lot of areas, and not see the world as out to get her as much as it's out to help her.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's awesome. Like, I feel like teamwork goes along with harmony as well. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like they had a lot of teamwork in a competition, which is not normal.
Right.
Usually people are, like you said, at each other's throats.
Yeah.
So I think that's really special as well. And I want to know how you use the Christmas season, but as well Benton Falls as a backdrop in your story.
So one of the things that was really fun to write in this one is the ice games, which the firefighters do every year to raise money for a charity. And they each, so instead of the firefighters all being on a team and kind of dominating the ice games, every firefighter has to put together a team of just like everyday average citizens. So Logan every year pulls together the contestants in the historic Holly Inn's decorating thing to be his team for the ice games. And so this is, Harmony wasn't going to go. She doesn't want to be there. This is totally outside of her realm. But Logan had helped her with something. And she was like, okay, yeah. Like, she feels like she's in his debt. So she shows
Bailey,
up.
I was
like, I'm like, sorry. Logan had helped Bailey with something.
When she said Harmony, I was like, wait, I'm
it's because we're talking about Harmony.
I know. Sorry, the word, the name.
You're funny.
Bailey
didn't want to go. Right?
Didn't want to go, and she didn't want to. Like, it's very, very, very outside her comfort zone to participate in a group sport.
Yeah,
it's just not her. But Logan had done a favor for her, and she felt like she owed him, so she had to go and participate. And she ends up being. They have a human. Oh my gosh, I have to remember what it's called. It's the Olympic sport curling. Oh, yes. I was like, with the brooms and the stone. So they do human curling where they put a person on a sled and shove them down. And then people swing. She ends up being the person on the sled. And she's like terrified because she's the only one light enough and young enough to do it. And Logan's like ready to push her. And she's, and then he's like, just have fun. Kind of a thing. And she just, there's this moment as she's whooshing along where she realizes, I'm okay. And this is fun, kind of a thing. And it's this awakening for her of another side of herself that she'd stuck down in because she didn't want to have it made fun of or hurt or anything. And so Benton Falls, if they didn't do things like that, she wouldn't have been able to have that experience. And so that's one way to bring that I brought Benton Falls into her healing process. And then, the town itself is just beautiful, and she walks outside and the square is there and it's inspiring for her, and there's just so much good people, people. The lady at the bakery down the street learns her name and learns her favorite order and all this kind of stuff, and then she goes into the Firehouse Subs place to get a sandwich, and the guy behind the thing, he's like, I've heard about you, and she's like, and like, he's really great and welcoming and loves her, and just brings her in like she's a friend, and she's like, I feel like I have a friend that I didn't know I had before. And so it's a lot of the people around are just incredibly amazing, wonderful, happy people. And
I'm thinking about, as you're asking, how does Benton Falls play into your story, or how do you use it to bring your characters together? We have a calendar of events that happen in Benton Falls. Really? I think we should post that on our social media, because if you saw the things happening in Benton Falls, like Christmas Town,
it's
to the
so
XXX,
much.
I don't know, but so there's so many events that it makes it fun, and you can look and you're like, as you're writing,
if you want to sing along, you can have a sing along, just like every other night of the week. There's some kind of sing along.
But there's so many events that are happening on the calendar, so it's fun. As you're writing, you can be like, Tuesday, December 6th. Let's see what's happening today. Yeah. And then throw your characters in there. And so, I think that's something we should do, is show the calendar, because you're like, I know. This is like the most Christmassy town.
Oh, yeah. And on Christmas Eve, they have a parade. Yeah. And I had used the parade, I think. It's in Tyler. It's mentioned in this one. And I think it's mentioned in the third one, and I was like, okay, so by the fourth book I was like, I feel like I have to go behind the scenes of the parade and show what's happening there. And so anyway, things like that you're using them, and you're so involved, and that you're like, I already know what's already going on in this situations behind the scenes, so I should just put it in a book so the readers all know too, which is fun.
And I mean, did you guys create this calendar before the books? Like, how did that come together?
That was part of our plotting session that we had, or brainstorming session.
We had to create the town first.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we knew what we wanted it to look like. Like we talked about that in the other podcast about how we wanted the town to look. But then we came up with a calendar. And because it is so critical that the angels get their wings, like it's Christmas Eve midnight is when their assignment has to be completed.
Yeah.
So we wanted a calendar to make sure that angels were all where they needed to be and everything was happening. And then, of course, you want all of these events. If you're writing 8 books, you need a lot of Christmas things happening.
There has to be a big variety.
Yeah, and all of the fantasy, Christmas stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like the tree lighting, caroling together, like the sing-alongs.
Christmas market.
Yeah, the ice skating rink is another one that's huge. And the church stuff, like the church nativity, the church live nativity.
Pageant.
The church pageant. The church does a whole lot.
School.
The elementary school.
There's stuff happening at the schools.
The high school has their winter formal one night, and that's in this book.
Like literally.
Yeah,
like
it's
every single day.
Yeah, it's
which is
continual.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Christmas season is so busy.
Yeah.
You need something going on every night.
Yes,
you definitely need a calendar if you live in Benton Falls. You've got to have it written out because there's something every morning, noon.
And there's something happening. Seriously, some days it's 3 or 4 between the elementary school and then the town and like some special thing at a store or something like that. It's constant. So
yeah, and I mean, if you guys are okay with sharing it, we could paste it for our viewers as well if you're watching on YouTube.
Yeah, they need to know how great this place is.
Yeah, we'll paste it right here so you can see it. And I think that it sounds like this book has a lot of exciting things. Yeah. And doesn't everyone have a little bit of social anxiety? And I think everyone sometimes at some point in your life has struggled at not feeling comfortable. Right,
being outside your comfort zone even. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think that there's a lot to relate to in Bailey. It sounds like there's a lot of fun events, like the formal and...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like she gets to do a lot of fun things.
The ice games. So, yeah, and this book... It releases today, and you can find that on our website. That's www.angelinstitutebooks.com. And we have ebook, audiobook, and we will soon have paperback as well.
Yeah. Those should go up they should be up by the time this goes live. Yeah. We should have some paperbacks up. So,
so perfect. So it'll be up on their website.
It'll be ready. In fact, this very book.
You can have this book in your hands. So... so again, that's www.angelinstitutebooks.com, and they also have bundles, and they go on sale quite often, so watch out for that as well.
And our gift section.
Yeah,
should be up soon.
Really excited
I know, I'm so excited.
Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, I know our readers are...
Yeah, so the gift section is going to be a lot of fun, because it's going to be Send an Angel is what it is. So you send an angel to a friend, send an angel to a family member, whatever. Send an angel. So you get the book, but the book is then beautifully wrapped with a set of angel wings, a wax seal, and several things for readers like bookmarks and sticky notes and things like that in there. And then we will send it to you and you can gift it to somebody, or we will send it to the person that you want to gift it to. And so anyway, I'm just super excited about that because I love to give books for Christmas, but to have the added the angel ornament and the whole thing with it is just, I'm so excited to send this whole angel thing to somebody. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And maybe we can show one next time.
Yeah, we can bring one and show it.
Wrapped, but send an angel to your friend.
Send an angel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
which is awesome, especially if your friends are a fan of this podcast.
Right.
You can send their own angel to them. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. And is live. It's so exciting. I know. I'm excited to read it. So yeah, let's move on after we've learned about Bailey. I'm sure that will still come up in our discussion, but let's move on to living in harmony. And I want to turn some time to Erica, and I want to know what living in harmony means to you.
Well, as we've been talking about it, I had a couple of thoughts as she was talking about that. Finding harmony in a place where it's competitive, it's competition. Mm-hmm. I think for me, that's what harmony means, is being able to get along with and focus on the things that you have in common with someone versus focusing on all of the things that we disagree on. And so living in harmony is being able to be around people that might not necessarily agree with you, or have the same values or same, religion, same idea of family, all the different ideas, but being able to come together and recognize that we all have something in common. And so we can focus on the thing that we have in common and end up really getting to know someone or care about someone, or just be able to, for example, like in a work situation, say someone in your office is different than you and has a lot of different political opinions or just different things, and it would be easy to focus on that. And I love when you can look at that person and be able to like get the job done, even though you might not necessarily agree with them, but you can get the job done. And same with like family.
Yeah.
Like,
probably more so in family.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that the more people I get to know and I realize how different we are, sometimes I feel overwhelmed with that. If I focus on how I feel, I can feel isolated. I can feel different.
While you're in a room full of people, even, you can feel like you're the odd man out.
What you were explaining, Bailey.
Yeah.
Does like how she feels, she puts up these walls, she feels alone, and we can do that really easily if we're like, I always say to myself, one of these is not like the other, and it's me, like or I would leave sometimes I would leave a conversation and I would think one of us sounded like a total idiot, and that was me, because I wasn't focusing on leaving that person feeling good. I wasn't focusing on the good things, on what we had in common, and on like trying to leave that person with a smile on their face. Like I like to talk to somebody and maybe just lighten their day a little bit. So that when I focus on that I feel like that brings harmony. And for me, that's what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah. Well, and I think if you look for the good in people, which is what Harmony was not doing. She was constantly looking. I should have named her Harmony.
Yeah, maybe you should have.
Is what Bailey was not doing. She was not looking for the divine in other people or the good in them. And Gladys is so good, she couldn't miss it. So, but whenever I go into a situation and I'm listening to somebody talk about different political views or something like that, there's always something that I can find, like the passion they have for it. I'm like, oh, gosh, I don't have that passion, but I'm glad somebody does, or just whatever it happens to be, but looking for that divine in the other person and then recognizing it in them and saying, you know what, and we have a friend who is so good at this. She leaves every conversation having seen like your deepest good. And then she'll bring it out and she'll say, she'll say something like, I have always seen that you're such a giving heart. And you're going, I am a giving heart. Kind of a thing. But because she recognizes that in you, then you want to go out and be more giving. And it's just, she just has that way. And I have
it's a special gift.
Yes, it is. And I would love to have that gift, and I'm still working on it. But I think that's the harmony for me, is to be able to recognize the divine in others. And that, I think, creates the harmony. So
I love that.
That's awesome. And I mean, even with Christmas, Chrissy, I feel like everyone comes together at Christmas and there's just a lot of harmony. And I want to know how you've seen that in your life.
Have I seen Christmas harmony in my life, or harmony at Christmas time?
Either one.
Somehow, some way. Well, I think one of the ways is that everyone becomes more charitable. Yeah. They want people who don't have things to have gifts. They want children who have gone without all year to have full bellies, and it's things we should want all year long, right? But we make a special effort at Christmas time because we're feeling that that harmony among all of us. And we don't want to be divided. Like, I don't want to be divided and being like, I have this and I'm better than you. I want to be like, we can all have amazing things. Like, that's the spirit, I think, of goodwill towards men, and that harmony in the world is we're all more giving so that we can all celebrate together. Yeah. And we don't, awesome. Somebody who's hungry is going to have a hard time feeling the joy of Christmas. And so we fill bellies, and then everybody can feel the joy of Christmas. So
exactly.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask Erica how you've seen it in your family life as well, because I know you mentioned that.
Well, I talked about last time, like as a child, I saw that a lot. I felt like the struggles that we had all year kind of disappeared at Christmas time because it was just feeling an abundance of love and giving. I was thinking just recently, within the last couple of years, I've heard of a few families in our community who donate generously, like provide Christmases for families, and you don't know.
Yeah.
Like they are so good about doing this great work, and no one knows that they're doing it. And it just touches my heart to know that there are so many good things being done that we are not aware of. I feel like we hear a lot of times about the negative stuff, but also with Christmas, that's when we tend to hear the good things.
Yeah,
exactly.
I feel like it switches a little bit in the media because they want to share more good stories, the feel-good holiday stories, and so they're looking for it too. Yeah. When we focus on something, we see more of it. Yeah. So
like, how do you carry that Christmas? Like I've
I've
given talks before at Christmas time and remembered thinking, like, how do we carry the spirit of Christmas throughout the whole year?
Yeah.
You know, but it's true.
Yeah,
like people tend to focus on the good stuff at Christmas.
Yeah.
So how do we carry that, and how do we have that harmony all year long?
Yeah.
So that's something to think about.
Right. That provokes a lot of thought, because I haven't thought about that. Like, it's true. Like the Christmas spirit, it seems like is just.
I guess
1 month.
We could spread it out over other holidays. Not spread it out, keep what we have at Christmas, but then add it and be like, I am like your secret leprechaun this year. And I'm going to drop gold coins on your porch. Like, instead of a secret Santa, we do secret leprechauns. We should do that. Like, let's start a movement.
But I think that's what a lot of, like, probably not at that level, but like a lot of parents just celebrating those little fun traditions throughout the year. You see now so many people, at least I do, on social media with the leprechaun tracks or just the fun things that parents do for their children, which is
to bring joy,
bringing love and joy into a family. So right there, people are doing that. But I'm like, so we have secret leprechaun. I'm your secret patriot for the 4th of July. I'm your secret.
Well, that reminds me of like the tradition of Elf on the Shelf too. Like, can we do leprechaun on the shelf?
A leprechaun on the shelf. So we're all doing it.
Easter bunny on the shelf.
Cupid on the shelf.
Yeah. Right, and not even in the holidays, because we have like we have months without holidays as well.
Do
like,
we know? I don't know. Is there any holiday
that
doesn't, like any month that doesn't have a holiday?
Like maybe August, but that's like kind of when you go back to school.
I'm sure if we looked on the calendar, we would find
something.
Yeah.
But
I know I need a calendar in front.
Yes, we would find it.
Okay, maybe August. I could see August.
Yeah, but that's a busy
then we could
month
be
anyways.
your secret back to school elf.
Secret back to school, Do things for teachers. Too,
right?
They have a hard time throughout the school year. I mean, that's awesome. Like, I know you guys have seen harmony throughout the Christmas season. Like, I've seen harmony throughout the Christmas season, and I think, like, that's just why we get so excited for Christmas.
Well, and there's harmony, and I was just thinking, like, when everybody tries to get together. It's like everyone is trying to get together at the same time. It's not one person who's like, okay, I'm going to do all it. Like, I have brothers that live out of town and they work to get here for Christmas. It's like a thing. So we're all working towards the same goal of being together. And I think that creates harmony during the holiday season too, because we all want to be together. So,
And that's, I think the effort, the way you said like effort, and they make an effort to be here. Yeah. I think that's the problem with not having the spirit throughout the rest of the year. Maybe we don't make as big of an effort. Yeah. It's not on our mind.
There's not a quote excuse. Exactly. Like Christmas is the excuse to everybody get together. There's not as big of an excuse. Yeah.
So, and I think that's something to think about as well. And I think we should move into our angel story now.
Oh, I would love that.
We have a beautiful angel story from Deb that features harmony. And I'm just going to read this. She sent it over. And
Thank you,
really
Deb. Thank you so much for sharing your angel story with us.
I
love it.
Thank you so much. And so, she talks about, I'm just going to read what she said, her story. So she says, about 5 years ago, I hit rock bottom. I had poor health. I was suffering from depression. 2 of my 4 kids were struggling through challenges that took my breath away, and my marriage was falling apart. I honestly didn't know if I would be able to live through this hard time. One Friday night, things felt particularly desperate, and I needed some time to myself. So I got a hotel room 30 minutes from home. I was searching my soul, crying out to God, wondering what my next step needed to be. The despair I felt was palpable. I spent hours milling around the hotel room, sobbing, talking to God, asking him over and over again, "What should I do, Lord?" Finally, the answer came. That answer was, "For now, sleep." So I fell into the bed and tried to sleep. I laid awake for a long time, agitated, sick with worry and grief, and utterly confused about how this could be my life, and what in the world was I supposed to do about it. As I was laying there with my eyes closed, I felt a warm, heavy comforter being placed on me. My eyes sprang open and I lifted my head, expecting to see someone standing there, because surely there was a tangible, weighted comforter on top of me. No one was there. I looked down and nothing visible was covering my body, yet I felt it. An image of both my grandmothers came to my mind. One of them passed away 13 years before this, and the other passed away 5 years before this. In my mind, I saw them covering me with the comforter. The comforter anchored me. Finally, I could breathe. It had the effect of a warm hand on my shoulder. For more than 10 minutes, I felt it there, weighted and soft. Slowly, the sensation went away, but I was calm. I did not feel peace because of the tumultuous circumstances of my life, but I felt calm enough. Soon, I was able to drift off to sleep. The image of my grandmother's near me, my only thought. That's her story, and she says, "Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this. I love the idea of your book series and can't wait to read it. We all need reminders that there are truly angels that help us. We are never alone, and there is always hope. Love, Deb."
Oh, thank you, Deb.
That was amazing. Thank you, Deb.
I get emotional reading that because that's just so sweet, and there's angels, and it's so sweet that you saw your grandmothers.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that was the angels in her life, was her grandmothers coming to wrap like a warm comforter, a warm blanket around
I don't know
her.
about you guys, but my grandma was a quilter. I'm like, if my grandma was going to bring anything, it'd be a quilt or chocolate. Like,
Yeah.
Those would be the two things she'd show up with.
Well, and I think that's the harmony of, your family coming and, both your grandmothers, who I don't know if they knew each other or how they were related at all, but they both came and had harmony.
Yeah.
And wrapped a blanket around her, and I think that shows the harmony as well.
I think it's beautiful.
So, and I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
Well, I just know that my grandmas are definitely my angels, and while in this book series they have strangers that are assigned to them,
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that when we pray, when we ask for help, it's usually someone in our family, our ancestors, our close family members who come as angels to answer those prayers. And so I know that my grandmothers are my angels, and I know that they inspire me to keep going and keep doing things, and are a big part of this angel journey that I'm on right now. Without my grandmothers, without their help and encouragement in becoming an author, I know that I wouldn't be doing this. And so I know that my angels are my grandmas, and I'm sure that's that way for most every person.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
For
and
sure.
I know that you shared that in a previous podcast as well, that your grandmother was the reason that you got into writing.
Yep.
And so that's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Deb, and I hope that touches somebody's heart today. I know it will.
Someone who needed to hear it.
It's very sweet.
Yeah, and if you feel as you hear these stories, and if you feel oh yeah, I have an angel story, please share them with us, because we would love to share them.
And it touches everyone's
life.
life.
You never know who you're going to reach by sharing your story.
Well, and the other thing, if one of your friends or somebody comes to mind that you think should hear that story, please share that with them. Share the podcast with them. Help us to be able to touch lives through this, and to be able to help those who need to hear these stories and need the uplift.
Yeah. And we're always a safe place to share that story. And if you're not comfortable sharing your name, I know Deb was comfortable sharing her first name. If you're not comfortable with that, you don't have to, as long as you just share that story and how it touched you.
Yeah.
And I will say that you can submit those stories at angelinstitutestories@gmail.com. And also on our social media, our links in our social media, our Angels Unscripted podcast, it has that form to share your story in there as well. So, and you can even just DM us on social media as well. We're on Instagram and TikTok. So, I know last week, if you listened to the last episode on friendship, where we were talking about Book of Ren, we had an angel story and we were getting permission to share that here in our podcast, and we finally heard back from her and she gave us permission to share. So this is more of an angel story on friendship and the power of angels and angel friends in our lives. So I'm going to share that, and this is from Brenda. So she says, I didn't get the chance to respond, but I have a moment now. This is how much God loves us. I lost my only daughter and my best friend in 2011. I fell apart when I got the news. I cried for a while, then a calm came over me because I knew she was with the Lord. All the crying after that was for all the others that will be missing her. I was a hairstylist for 30 years beforehand and was able to calmly do her hair for the funeral and tell her how much I loved her and would miss her. Then, about a year later, I had moved and got a dog. And I was sleeping and heard the dog tags clinging together and turned over to tell her to lay down. And my daughter was there, standing and petting her. She had a young girl with her, but she was shadowed out. I guess I wasn't to know who she was. As I said to my daughter, "What are you doing here? You have to go to heaven." And she said about that, and my heart sank. And she said, God said I have to bring the younger ones home for a while. But I just had to stop by and tell you I love you and gave you a kiss, and she did. I fell back to sleep and didn't even remember it until later the next day at work. I was worshiping the Lord through music as I worked, and it all came back to me, every detail, and I wondered why God would have her doing that, and right away I knew the answer. She could calm any child down just by talking to them, and she had so much charisma. All the children loved her instantly. At her funeral, there were several children bawling their eyes out because they didn't know what they would do without her. Of course, I held them and cried too, and told them God needed her in heaven. God's blessings, Brenda.
That is beautiful.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
So her daughter is working as an angel now
Yeah.
for others. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And, you know, on friendship, like, it's hard to lose your best friend. Like, I could not even imagine losing that. And, you know, I feel like the only way we get through that is knowing that they're there with us and that they're an angel in our lives. And I think that's very special. Thank you, Brenda, for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
The other little part I love about that story is that she talked about how when her daughter was here on earth, that was her natural gift.
Yes.
That she had that talent to be with children and offer comfort and joy. And I love that
she's
is
still
with her.
doing it.
She's still she's still her. She's still doing that.
Yeah.
And so God uses us.
Well, we come with talents, right? Like we come with talents, and they're like not just here talents. They're like eternal talents. And so I feel like some of the things that we get to do here are extensions of what we could do in heaven and what we can do for others. And if we use them well and we develop them well, we can continue to use them when we go on to the other side. So
And that reminds me of when we were talking about Ren last week with Arthur. He was a gardener.
Yes.
And he loved plants, and he got to do that in heaven.
Yeah.
And I think that shows that as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that it's so special when you have a gift so strong that you can use it.
Yes. And Arthur didn't realize that his gift for nurturing plants and growing things would also
transfer
work
over.
Yeah.
on humans. And so that
exactly.
was also great that God was like, hey, here you go.
Yeah.
You've got a green thumb, but guess what? It's going to go here. And so I love that.
Yeah. Well, we all need nurturing.
Sure.
Like,
Exactly.
I need to be nurtured on the daily. Let me just.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
something to
I'm
think
so
about.
grateful that they shared their stories and are able to just spread that knowledge. Knowledge, I think one of the things that happens when a person has an experience with an angel is they go through did I really experience that? Or
Did
kind
I
of
make
think,
that up?
did
That's what I
like
ask myself.
was I hopeful?
Right.
Was I so hopeful that this would happen that I
Yeah.
created it? Whatever. I don't know. Trust yourself. Trust your feelings. Trust that God does want beautiful, wonderful things for you, and will send angels to you when you need them. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thought. I think that's a good place to end. And next week, we'll be talking about our Angel Institute book 4 and giving. So Chloe's our next book. Again, the ebook is on our website for Chloe if you would like to follow along. And it's on our bundles as well, or their bundles, on their bundles as well on their website. So yeah, we'll be talking about giving. If you have an angel story that you'd like to share, or if there's one specifically on giving, you can again email us that at angelinstitutestories@gmail.com. And that's where we'll end. So I hope that you all have a great week. And again,
See you next Monday.